sedition is a law that essentially sought to protect, firstly, the monarchy. Many years ago, you couldn't say anything bad about the king or the queen. It then evolved into the government of England or the colonial power. And now our government is using it to protect themselves from harsh criticism. And that is absolutely wrong. The act must be removed. Now, in the case of Mr. Christmas, we can't comment directly on any case that is currently before the court. There's something called the sub judice law, so that no one ought to comment on an active criminal matter. But certainly, anybody who is exercising freedom of press, and we know that media and press is no longer what it traditionally used to be. David, you should be considered media and press by now, and many other non-traditional forms. We no longer look at TV6 and TTT and Express and Guardian and say that they are the only media and press. That's not so. We have social media presence and media personalities. So someone like Mr. Christmas List, who is doing media interviews and getting into the heart of whatever is the gang problem, one would think that a constitution would protect him. As I said, I don't know what the evidence is, and I don't want to comment on it. But nevertheless, I think that anybody who is exercising freedom of press should be able to do so freely. The one caveat I would say, or the one bar I would say, is that if it is you use your speech or publication to incite violence or to incite the breaking of a law. So, for instance, David, if you came here and you said, okay, everybody on this live, let's go down to the Red House and pelt it down, right? That would be seditious, and that, well, it wouldn't even need to be seditious because you could be charged under other laws in Trinidad and Tobago for inciting violence. You know, a famous analogy is used in freedom of speech. You have freedom of speech, but that doesn't mean that you can go into a crowded cinema and yell fire. Because if you do that, yes, you have the freedom of speech to do it. But if you did it, everyone stampeding out, you could cause serious harm and damage, right? So that's the problem. That's the problem with a law like sedition. It is way too broad. You have to define it. And when we went to the Privy Council with the Mahasabha, the Privy Council said, well, look, while we can't strike down the law because it is pre 1976 law, we are going to say that sedition must involve the inciting of violence. The problem again there is that that is the law for court. The police still have the tool of the Sedition Act. They could say, David, you're being seditious. I'm gonna get a warrant and I'm gonna search you. I'm gonna take your phone. I want to do this. I'm gonna detain you for 48 hours. And then what happens? You may not be charged, you may not be prosecuted, but you've had a harrowing experience of being arrested, detained, having your items seized. And while, David, I know that you won't be deterred by that, right? There may be other media practitioners that may, and that's the problem. So Sedition Act really needs to go. As I said, any forward-thinking and progressive attorney general or legislative body should seek to abolish sedition.